The year was 1972. The city of Bombay was alive with noise and dreams. I was an engineer, young and full of ideas. My latest project was a grand cinema near the sea. We were installing a new sound system, the first of its kind in India. The work was long and tiring. I spent my days surrounded by the clang of metal and the shouts of workers. The city's heat was relentless. It clung to you like a wet blanket. After a particularly long day covered in dust and sweat, I returned to my small apartment. A yellow telegram was waiting for me on the table. It felt out of place in my modern world. The message was short and urgent. It was from my cousin, Raj Kumar. He lived far away, in a place I had not visited since I was a boy. The telegram simply said, "Come to Horsley Hills at once. Urgent matter concerning family property. Raj." I read the words several times. Horsley Hills. The name brought back faint memories of cool breezes and tall trees. It was a world away from the humid, crowded streets of Bombay. The urgency in the message worried me. What could be so important? I had not spoken to Raj Kumar in years. Our lives had taken us on very different paths. I made my decision quickly. The cinema project could wait for a few days. My team was capable, and a short break would do me good. The thought of escaping the city was a welcome one. I was tired of the constant noise, the endless work, the feeling of being just another face in a massive crowd. The hills called to me. They promised quiet and solitude. They promised a chance to breathe clean, fresh air. I packed a small bag with a few changes of clothes, a book, and a sturdy flashlight. I did not know why, but the flashlight felt important. The next morning, I was at the station, waiting for the train that would begin my journey south. The platform was a chaotic scene of people and luggage. The air was thick with the smell of steam and spices. Yet, my mind was already far away. I thought of the green slopes and winding roads of the hills. I wondered about Raj Kumar and his urgent problem. The mystery of it all was exciting. It was an adventure, a sudden turn in the straight road of my life. I boarded the train, found my seat by the window, and watched the sprawling city of Bombay begin to shrink behind me. The train ride was long, but I did not mind. It was a journey of transformation. The first few hours were spent rattling through the crowded suburbs of Bombay. We passed endless rows of small houses, busy markets, and noisy factories. The landscape was gray and dusty, but as we traveled further south, the scenery began to change. The gray buildings gave way to green fields. Tall coconut palms swayed gently in the breeze. I saw farmers working with their bullocks, and children waving at the train as it sped past. The air coming through the window was cleaner, fresher. It felt good. After many hours, I got off the train at a small, quiet station. From there, I had to take a bus. This was the final part of my journey, the climb into the hills. The bus was old and rickbacked. It groaned and complained as it made its way up the winding Ghat Road. With every turn, the view became more spectacular. The plains stretched out below us like a giant map. The air grew cooler and was filled with the scent of eucalyptus and wildflowers. The frantic energy of Bombay felt like a distant dream. I felt my shoulders relax, the tension of my city life slowly melting away. The hills were just as beautiful as I remembered them from my childhood. They were covered in a thick carpet of green. The trees were ancient and tall, their branches reaching for the sky. Monkeys chattered in the branches, and colorful birds flew between the trees. The silence was profound. It was not an empty silence, but one filled with the soft sounds of nature. The rustle of leaves, the buzz of insects, the distant call of a bird. It was a peaceful symphony, a welcome change from the jarring sounds of the city I had left behind. Finally, the bus reached the small settlement of Horsley Hills. It was little more than a collection of cottages and a small market. Raj Kumar was waiting for me at the bus stop. He looked older, his face lined with worry, but he smiled when he saw me. "Naraine, I am so glad you came," he said, shaking my hand warmly. "The journey was good?" I nodded, breathing in the cool mountain air. "It was wonderful, Raj," I replied. "It is good to be back in the hills." But the worried look in his eyes told me that my peaceful holiday was about to take a very different turn. Raj Kumar took me to his small, comfortable cottage. His wife served us hot tea and biscuits. We sat on the veranda, looking out at the rolling hills. The sun was beginning to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. For a while we just sat in silence, enjoying the peace. But I knew there was a reason I was here. Finally Raj Kumar sighed and began to speak. "Naraine," he said, his voice low. "I need your help. It's about the old bungalow, the one on the western ridge. You remember it, don't you? Our grandfather's house." I did remember it. It was a large colonial-style bungalow with a sloping red roof and a wide veranda. As a child, I had thought it was a magical place. "Of course I remember it," I said. "What's the problem?" Raj Kumar looked troubled. "The problem is no one will buy it. People say it's haunted." He told me that several potential buyers had come to see the property, but each one had left hurriedly, scared away by strange occurrences. They spoke of unexplained noises, objects moving on their own, and a feeling of being watched by an unseen presence. The local villagers were terrified of the place. The stories were chilling. 2 years ago, a property agent who had decided to stay the night to prove it was safe was found dead in the morning. The doctors said it was a heart attack, but the locals whispered that fear had killed him. They said he had seen something terrible in the dark. Since then, the bungalow had remained empty, falling into disrepair. "It is a valuable piece of land, Naraine," Raj Kumar explained, "but this reputation is making it worthless. The family needs the money. I don't know what to do." As he spoke, a cold memory surfaced in my mind. Our grandfather. He had also died in that bungalow many years ago. He had died suddenly, in his sleep. I remembered my father telling me about a diary my grandfather had kept. In the last few entries, he had written about strange things. He mentioned hearing footsteps in the hallway when no one was there. He wrote about seeing a shadowy figure standing at the foot of his bed, a spirit that seemed to be watching him. At the time, we had all thought he was just old and imaginative, but now, hearing Raj Kumar's stories, I was not so sure. A shiver went down my spine despite the warmth of my sweater. The stories of the villagers, the agent's sudden death, and my own grandfather's diary, it all started to connect in a disturbing way. Was it possible that the house was truly haunted? As an engineer, I was a person of logic and science. I believed in facts and explanations, not in ghosts and spirits. There had to be a rational reason for everything that had happened. Perhaps it was the wind making strange noises through a broken window, or the old wooden floors creaking. There had to be an answer. "I don't believe in ghosts, Raj," I said firmly, though a part of me felt a flicker of doubt. There must be a logical explanation for all this. Raj Kumar looked at me, a mixture of hope and fear in his eyes. "I hope you are right, Naraine, but what can we do? No one is brave enough to even spend an hour there after dark." I looked out towards the western ridge. I could just see the dark silhouette of the old bungalow against the fading light. A strange determination grew inside me. I had to know the truth for my family and for the memory of my grandfather. "I will stay there tonight," I announced. The words seemed to hang in the cool night air. Raj Kumar stared at me as if I were mad. "Naraine, no, it's too dangerous. After what happened..." I cut him off gently. "I have to do this, Raj. I am not afraid. I am an engineer. I solve problems. This is just another problem to solve." I knew it sounded brave, but my heart was beating a little faster. The idea of spending a night alone in that house, with its dark history, was unsettling. But my curiosity was stronger than my fear, and so it was decided. As darkness fell completely over the hills, I began my preparations. Raj Kumar gave me a kerosene lamp and a box of matches. I checked the batteries in my sturdy flashlight. I put on a warm jacket and solid boots. I felt like a soldier preparing for battle, though my only enemies were shadows and silence. I would walk to the bungalow, lock myself in, and wait. I would face the mystery head on. As I said goodbye to a worried Raj Kumar and started my walk towards the haunted bungalow, I did not know what I would find. But I knew this night would change everything.